one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Wait 1 second for Mr. Sagarino to come back in the room. Sure I can start this.
I can help you start on this.
And there he is. Paul, do you want to go to the first one, the Board of Appeals?
Bill's not on there.
Yeah, the first one. He's not here, though. He doesn't have to.
You ready to start, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First up, Mr. Chairman, the board has a vacancy on the Board of Appeals to address, so that is your appointment, and
If you could make a vote and waive the 15 waiting period, we appreciate it.
Okay, so at this point, we have Mr. Sheridan is going to be moved up to the Board of Appeals. He's been on the board for quite some time now, and he's been an alternate, and it's his turn to move up because of the loss of Brenda Rappaport. So at this point, I'd take a motion, or if you guys have anything to say about Mr. Sheridan, or someone can
When you
make
say the loss of Brenda Rappaport.
I didn't mean
that.
Well, it may be. Well, it's too late now, I already said it. Sorry, guys. So go ahead. So we'd like to make the,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we move Jim Sheridan from the alternate position on the zoning board of appeals to the permanent position on the zoning board of appeals.
motion by Jim, second by,
and waive the 15
And
days.
waive the 15 days.
Thank you.
Question before we vote. How long is this term for?
This particular term is approximately 3 to 4 years.
No, but he's taking over for Brenda. How long was left on her?
That she had the 1-year term, and then she went up to, I think she was bumped up to a 2-year term.
And when did the term start?
So, I'm not sure when, his term started about,
But that's what I'm asking, when will this end, so that he has to then run for, get reappointed?
he will have to be reappointed effective July 1, 2000, next year.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll say, motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, opposed? 500, Betty, in favor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
that, I believe that means we have to advertise for the opening and as an alternate. So-
Yep. We have to advertise for that. Thank you, Betty.
Mr. Chairman, tax classification is a public hearing, so we have a
Yes.
few more minutes on that. Did you want to take something out of order, or do you want to?
Yep,
Leahy, fine.
Mr. Leahy's right here, so grab Leahy Clark, bring those. We can do that, update 552. 255, sorry.
252.
One of those numbers. 681.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up, we have representatives from Leahy Clinic to talk about their annual 5K event.
Hello again. I'm Christina Stanley. I'm the Director of Special Events at Leahy, and this is Nancy Breton. I'm the Associate Director of Affinity Programs for Leahy. And we're thrilled to come once again to report on how the 5K did over the summer. We had a muddy but no rain that day, so we were very happy with that. And we were thrilled to have Selectmen Runyon come and speak. We had a couple of improvements over the year before. We had a new tent that was situated right by the course finish for cancer patients and survivors who weren't quite physically up to running and walking the race, so that was a big plus. We continue to partner with the Dave McGillivray Sports Enterprise. They're a great team to partner with, and I didn't hear any complaints from the town or the police department or anything like that. So as far as I know, and usually when there is a complaint, I hear about it. So we didn't have any of that, and then Nancy's going to share with you some of the numbers.
So we had a great year, probably the best that we've ever had, record-breaking. We raised, our goal was 500,000, and we raised 534,000, which was just phenomenal. And that's a 49% increase from what we did in 2018. As a matter of fact, in the last 5 years, from 2015 to 2019, we have a gross income increase of 217%. So we're pretty excited about that.
Wow.
Yeah, and this year our goal is 550, so
fingers crossed we beat that. So, once again, we need to wait until you all in Burlington give us their blessing. We are hoping that we'll be able to have the next one, which will be the 15, number 15?
It's our
Number
15th
15,
annual.
on Saturday, June 27th, 2020. Usually DIMSY will reach out to them right after the first of the year, and hopefully, especially since that Saturday is a little further in the month, the way the dates fall, further away from graduation, there won't be any conflicts.
Fantastic, thank you. Gentlemen, we'll start with Bob.
No, I've also, in the past, have gone down and spoken some words before the start of the race, and it's well put together, a lot of enthusiasm. I don't remember what the date was when I was there, but it was cold and raw also. So if you could do something about that.
We've got a really good day coming this year.
All right.
We're due for sunshine and 70 degrees.
But no, it's good.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I remember Christina sporting her knee-high rubber boots that morning, but it turned out to be a very nice day overall. Bob said it best. I mean, the enthusiasm down there at the start line, the finish line, it's just a wonderful experience. I'm pleased to have been invited again to address that crowd, and I look forward to another successful 5K walk next year. Good luck to you.
Jim?
$185,000 increase over last year, that's phenomenal. We're gonna be talking about taxes in a little bit, so what's your secret here?
Well,
Keep asking.
Yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get. We actually had our senior VP put together a team called the Leahy Leaders Unite, and he gathered some of the senior leadership from across the Leahy Legacy member hospitals, Addison, Gilbert, Beverly, Manchester, and the campus here in Burlington. And a lot of those folks had never really been involved, and they got a little competitive, and they actually, I think they were part of helping us get those kinds of numbers. So we're planning, Nancy's actually corralled them and managed them, and we're planning to do that again and continue to grow that team. It makes a difference when you get people at the top.
Just a follow-up, now that Beth Israel is combined, will that help or impact it at all, or will you get the leadership from them?
I think so, although this year it's still gonna be our legacy Leahy system that's gonna benefit from them, but we do expect that BI leadership will attend as well. And then looking forward, not quite sure what that looks like yet.
We're not sure what 2021 looks like, but we
Can
know.
only get better.
We know, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Mr. Barista?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just say thank you for everything that you folks do. Having Leahy as a partner to the community is fantastic, and this event, brings out so many people every year. It's wonderful. So thank you. I look forward to next year.
Thanks.
All right.
I also brought, we did this last year too. This is a framed, it's the sponsor sheet. And Paul Hesketh, who's our,
He's the director of the Cancer
Cancer
Institute.
Institute, he signed it. So we wanted to leave this with you all.
Fantastic. That's great, thank you very much.
Rich, you want to take a picture, or
Yeah.
you guys want to take a
What-
picture?
Just with her.
By yourself? Somebody in there.
All right, hold on.
Get right here in the middle. Step up here in the middle, we'll go get around you. Here? Go by yourself. Hey, walk up here.
All right, here you go. Since you were the speaker, you were like the guest speaker last year. We are grateful for all of your support and thank you. So thank you all.
We get to keep this.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
that's
Add it to our.
Yes.
What we're hoping to do, once, whatever you all decide today, and then we'll come back in the spring and update you on how we're doing before we actually do it. And of course, we again invite you all to come and have a speaker on the program.
All right, fantastic. We don't need to approve the next one, or do we want to approve the next one now? Or is that, wait until,
This was an update.
Oh, we can.
we can wait? Okay.
But pencil that date in.
Okay,
Yeah.
we will.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
It'll be June 27th, yes. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
very
Have a
much.
great night. Thank you very much.
Betty, would you make a notation on your calendar that if someone, God forbid, comes in for the same date, that we will know so that we can address it with the next people?
We can go to 251 now, Paul?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item on our agenda is the annual public hearing for tax classification. If I could ask a member, Nick has the notice to read into the record, and then we can open the public hearing.
We're getting it down to a pattern now.
You guys are getting good at this game.
The Board of Selectmen hereby gives notice that it will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 6:05 PM at the Town Hall, 29 Center Street, Burlington, Massachusetts, second floor, main meeting room, on the classification of all taxable property, the determination of the percentages of the local tax levy to be borne by each class of taxable property for fiscal year 2020, and the fiscal effect of the available alternatives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. As the board knows, this is a conclusion of a process that started a year ago when we set budget guidelines for fiscal 2020. This tax rate will encompass all of the spending voted by town meeting for the current fiscal year, 2020. Our assessors have set the values for property in town, and now it's up for the board to vote to determine how to distribute this tax levy between residents and businesses. Tonight we have John Denizio, Brian Curtin, Jim Doherty, our financial team here to provide background information for your vote. I'd also like to point out that we have all three members of our elected Board of Assessors here. Paul Sheehan, Louise Crocker, and Kathy O'Neill are in attendance as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, group back there. Thank you very much for attending. Gentlemen, who would like to start first to go over Mr. Doherty?
I'd first like to start by just acknowledging John joining our team here, and welcome. And he's been very helpful this year. And I'm sure he'll be around for hopefully a lot of years to come making this presentation. This might be the last year we see Brian here, and Brian's been a tremendous asset to the financial team and a tremendous help to me in the going on 10 years that I've been here, and I just want to thank him for his help on many issues, and it's been a joy to work with you and sit at this table for quite a period of time, and hopefully you'll still come back.
Thank you. Let him be around somewhere.
Great. Having said that, I'd just like to point out that, as you know, we do a similar task every year. Paul did a great job kind of outlining exactly how this comes about. The Board of Assessors, through staff, as well as their input, we develop all the values for the property. That's obviously one major component of the tax rate. The second major component is the spending of the town. You know, we get other sources of revenue, but the lion's share of that, the expenditures come out of town meeting, and the lion's share to fund the entire budget comes out of town meeting vote. So, you know, we have to put together some options here that would indicate how we could raise the amount of money that's needed to operate the town for the fiscal year, which we're approximately halfway through at this point in time. And this year, we were looking to be somewhere in the range of $400,000, and that equated to a tax levy increase of somewhere around 4.6%. We've laid out a couple of options here for you. The financial team has met with Paul regarding this, and we've had some preliminary discussions. We think option A, B, or C are clearly options that could work. The other options contained here are really just giving extremes. I guess one that I would like to just point out is option F. Burlington, that's on the last page of this sheet. Burlington is in a very good place that a lot of communities are not. That being our ability to shift some of the burden off the residential taxpayers onto the commercial. However, if we were to have a single tax rate in the community, which certainly I don't think anyone in this room is advocating, it would be $15.76 versus a tax rate of those three scenarios I mentioned that ranges from $9.64 to $9.68. And it provides a great savings for the residential taxpayers. If you go to the first sheet after all the options, it kind of demonstrates the point there. And it shows that if you were to adopt, I had to pick one option, so I just picked the middle one. I picked option B. And that would show basically that the average single-family home assessed value this year is $567,000. If you utilize a tax rate of the 964, gives a projected tax of about $5,466. Again, if we only had the single rate, that same tax bill on the same value, the value, bless you, would not change, is $8,930. And that's a substantial savings to the taxpayers. The other thing that we talk about a lot each year, but I'll just remind you that, and these are rounded numbers, the residential values in town represents about 60% of the value. But what we do when we when this board votes a classified rate, we essentially turn that upside down, and the residential people end up picking up about 35% of the levy, and the commercial people pick up 65%. So again, no, there's a lot of residual issues that people talk about with commercial, but solely looking at it from the taxation standpoint, with that amount of property in town, it's a tremendous assistance to the residential taxpayers in terms of what they need to pay. Brian and John?
So I just want to add a couple of points. One is to reiterate what Paul said, that this is for fiscal year 20, which, as we know, started last July 1st, and the tax levy that you see in tonight that you're voting is the result of the budgets that were passed at last Springtown meeting. And as a reminder, the budget guidelines for FY '20 set a 4.5 levy increase for operating budgets, plus they agreed to hold the school bus contract outside of that. So as a point of reference, the school bus contract itself would have added about 0.43% increase to the levy, and that is net after the decrease in the budget at fall town meeting. You may remember that the bus contract was rebid. It came in a couple $100,000 less. The school submitted a warrant article to decrease their budget by that $200,000. So the result of all that adjustments would have been our maximum levy target limit being 4.93%. As you can see, any of the scenarios A, B, and C here accomplish that goal of being under that limit at, between 4.1 and 4.61 and 4.69. And the biggest contributor to that, for us being so far under, a quarter of a point under, is that the snow and ice from last year, you may remember, was a pretty mild winter, and the snow and ice deficit came in about $300,000 less in 19, the deficit less in 19 than it was in 18. So that's the biggest contributor to that.
Thank you.
I'd just like to mention that, for fiscal '20, we had $3,270,590 in growth, which is tremendous. The town continues to, increase the property values. Obviously, we're in a good economic climate right now. Values in Burlington staying very firm. We've had a good run since the economy's been good for the last 10, 11 years. And Burlington has been outstanding as far as holding their prices. It's because of, in my opinion, the great education system that we have in the schools. We support the schools. We have the money to have a good school program, and as we can tell, the residents benefit by that, as well as the recreation department we have, and the values here in Burlington maintain their value and seem to go up every year. The other thing that's impressionable is that, it's still under the levy limit by $12,444,000. And if we were to levy taxes to the maximum, we could levy another $12 million, which we're not going to do. But, that number seems to go up every year. If we look to last year, it was $11.5 million, so it's gone up again by almost $1 million, over $900,000. So that's impressive. So the town's in great financial condition. We're very fortunate. We obviously, the business community, as Jim said, contributes tremendously to that growth and their share of the levy, paying well over 60% of the taxes for the town, in a large savings for the residents. And the average residential bill is only going up 3.79%, so that's very impressive as well.
All right, gentlemen, we will start with Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to make sure I'm reading this right. If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like the residential value went up 12.84%. That's the second largest value increase since 1988. So that, just to follow up what Brian said, house values in Burlington just keep going up, and it's impressive. It's impressive that our values are going up that much, and it's, I don't know, I guess it's a good thing for us that own homes.
Sure is.
That's all for now.
Okay. Nick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, gentlemen, thank you for all your hard work. This being my first foray into setting this, it was very helpful having you all to kind of bounce questions off of and, receive that information, so thank you. It's funny, I think as residents, we're always wondering, why is our tax bill going up again this year, right? And to me, I think now seeing it from this chair, it's very much a balancing act that needs to be carefully coordinated to ensure that the residents get to continue receiving the services that they have been accustomed to, while not having a gross increase in our tax bill year over year. And Mr. Curtin, like you said, we are in a financially healthy space where we do not have to go after additional tax dollars. We can make an effort to maintain ourselves. So I think that's great. How can we continue what we're doing with minimum impact to the community? I think is what I'm trying to get at. If we can continue that, to me, Mr. Chairman, option B looks very healthy. And I wouldn't be opposed to supporting an option like that. I appreciate you gentlemen laying out the extremes so that we can see, where we to go with a single rate, how adversely residents would be affected. But, according to these options, to me, B would be a very healthy choice in terms of minimum impact while maintaining what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I would concur after looking at our options. I would agree with Selectman Priest. B is probably the option that I'd be interested in pursuing.
Okay, great. Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to reiterate what Brian and Jim and John were saying, there's a lot of people that have a hand in this, starting with town meeting last year and approving the budget for this year. The assessors that are here, the treasurer of the department, accounting, Ways and Means, the school committee with all its departments, and of course, all the town side departments. There are an awful lot of people who know what has to be done, and we all try to work together, and it's an excellent team. And, people are always saying, why are my taxes going up? But there's a lot of great services in town. And again, if we keep looking at what other communities are doing, we legitimately have a strong, solid, minimal increase each year to keep our taxes down, and the values of our homes, as Jim said, are going up quite nicely. So I just want to thank everybody involved, including the three members sitting at the table here.
Thank you. If I may, just real quickly, guys, thank you very much. It was, it's real interesting reading, I can tell you that, you know. Sit home on a Friday night and read all this stuff. It was really heartwarming. But as far as the town goes, this town's in great shape. What we provide to the residents is really almost incredible compared to other towns. And I hear about other things from other people in the surrounding towns. Our amenities in this town are fantastic. And if it wasn't for the group of people that keeps this all together, between all your boards, the three people sitting back, this board, and bringing all the revenue we have for the planning department and stuff like that, we wouldn't be where we are. So I just want to say thank you to all you people for the great job that we do in this town. All right. And on that note, Mr. Sagarino, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to remind you, it's a public hearing, so if we could see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter.
At this point, I'd like to open the public hearing. If there's anybody out there that needs to come up and say anything. Louise, anything?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second. Motion made and second to close the public hearing. Point?
I said
Oh, you did, okay. Thank you. Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. 500, ready to close public hearing. You want to make a motion on this?
That's just closing the public
I
hearing.
was just closing, I just closed the public hearing, right? Now I gotta,
You just closed the public hearing.
yeah. Right.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt and vote on accepting option B from the options laid before us.
Motion by Nick,
I'll second.
second by Jim. All those in favor? Aye. Staying against? 500, ready for option B.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, man.
I love this one. Okay. Moving right along.
Time's here.
253, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up, hopefully, we have representatives from Lifetime Fitness here to talk about their 5K.
Sir.
So I just got out of the pool, so I got changed quick and head over here, so. That's pretty good.
I hope you wrapped your hand up.
What was that?
I hope you wrapped your hand up while you were swimming.
Yeah, this happened 2 weeks ago when I was biking, I got hit, so now it's just recovering, so it's getting better.
If you could introduce yourself and explain what you like to do.
Yeah, so my name is Weston Zert, I work at Lifetime. I'm triathlon coach, run coach, swim coach, race director, and I do a lot of other different things at the gym too. So this past year on New Year's Day, we did a race called Commitment Day on New Year's Day at 10 in the morning. It was a nice little 5K. We started right at the gym, went down Middlesex Turnpike to the left on Meadow Glen Road, and then went all behind Coles, and then we took a left on Brown Avenue, which turns into Sandy Brook Road, and then a left on Terrace Hall, and then back to the gym. So that's about it. We had about 230 people this year. It was 55 degrees and it was beautiful. I don't know if it's going to be that warm again this year, in 2020, but we're just hoping to have it again for New Year's Day in a couple months as well too. So hoping to have, we opened the race up a few weeks after we did last year, so hoping to have around 220 to 250 people kind of, so maybe a little bit more. And with the race, you get a free medal, you get a brunch, and they're guests of not including Lifetime, get a free kind of guest tour for the whole gym. They can use the facilities for the whole day too. It was kind of a fun event to bring everybody out for the first day of the year to kind of go for a run. So
Okay.
that's basically what it is.
Gentlemen, do we have any comments or, go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any issues that you saw last year that you changed for this year?
Last year it ran really well. The police officers did a great job like directing traffic and everything. So I think it was early enough in the morning. It was New Year's Day where there wasn't a lot of traffic too. So we had a police officer at the front when we come out of Lifetime onto Middlesex Turnpike. They had that whole road blocked off until the runners were safe onto Meadow Road. And then we had another officer blocking off Meadow Road, so that was kind of safe for all the runners too. And then we had another officer from Terrace Hall to Middlesex when they come back again too. And I don't think there were any issues last year, which is great. The only issue was like there was a lot of wind too. Blew one of our tents. We caught the tent too, but that's probably the only issue I remember last year too.
Right.
But that was nice.
we don't, obviously don't know what the weather's gonna be, and it could be snowy, rainy, icy. My only concern is when you go up Brown Ave off of Lexington Street, you hit that really sharp turn. Is there any way you could put, or even check with the DPW, a couple of cones or something, just to warn people that there's gonna be, or just to be cautious about people in the roadway, because you can't see when you're going either direction.
Yeah, so I know the police officers, they bought a bunch of cones and they put them where they were too, so they set up the whole turnpike area from Terrace Hall to Middlesex, then from Middlesex to Meadow Glen Road. I have a lot myself too, so I'll be marking the course of the way with cones soon. I can put some extra cones there just in case.
Yeah, it's just a very,
kinda sharp there,
there's just no line of sight, and it's a very bad area. That's all.
They used to connect somehow, because it's really awkward, because you kind of go up and then it's like a quick.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I bike there a lot too, I just feel like it's just really curvy. It's interesting, I don't know, it's different. But yeah, I'll definitely put a lot of cones there too, just to make sure all the drivers know.
It's tough to negotiate when there aren't 250 people on the road.
Yes.
Paul?
No, thank you.
No. Michael?
Yeah, I sort of share some of Jim's concerns. Meadow Road is no prize either, narrow, twisty, Brown Ave. But the fact that you told me that traffic is temporarily shut down on those stretches of roadway, then I really have no issue with that.
Yeah.
I don't recall this event last year for some reason, but I'll take your word for it.
New Year's Day.
Hey, because we didn't.
We got a letter from the police that it went off well, so.
We didn't run that day.
Oh, that's right.
We missed that day.
That was your off day.
We took our car the next day, remember?
It's probably a good thing you don't remember, so nothing bad happened too, I hope, so. Okay. Good thing.
Nick?
No, nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Nothing, okay. I have one quick question. Is there a rain date, or is this rain or shine, snow,
Shine, yeah.
sleet, doesn't matter what it is?
Anything, yeah. So usually like a road race will be canceled if it's like really like a blizzard or something really bad and dangerous too.
Okay.
If it's a little bit of snow, a little bit of sleet, a little bit of rain, we'll still have it. And I can't guarantee all the runners that sign up will come to it too, but.
Well, me and Mike will probably miss it again, so I just want to be assured that, just in case, and.
Yeah, so if it's like really bad weather, like a blizzard, we probably would. But if it's just a little bit of snow or rain or sleet, we'll probably still keep it too.
We'll wait by the pool.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, do I have a motion or comment, any more comments on this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve Lifetime Athletics Commitment Day 5K for January 1st, 2020.
Motion by Jim, second by
Second.
Nick, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? 5-0, Betty. Okay, you're all set, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
And you guys are welcome to come and check it out. Or
Well, if you get coffee and donuts, we'll be down.
there is food though. There is like
What?
food for everybody. There is food for everybody too. Fruit.
Did you say food or fruit?
Food. Well, fruit.
That's what I'm saying, I don't want any fruit, that's way too healthy.
I think it's-
What are you kidding me?
I think it's like acai bowls, salads, muffins, bread, and some fruit too.
Yeah, I never seen them.
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You didn't give us any details about, is there a fee? What time do the people have to be there?
Yeah, so the fee is $20. There's no change in that fee at all too. So $5 for kids under 12, and then $20 for anybody if they're a member or a non-member. The time, it starts at 10 in the morning. So last year we had people show up as early as 8 or 8:30. So the police officers will be there probably an hour before we start. They'll make sure everything's all ready to go there too. So the runners, I'm guessing this year probably between 8:30 and 9 they'll show up to get ready to warm up. We'll start at 10 in the morning, and people will probably be done by 12 or 12:30. And that's when the police officers will probably leave as everyone is getting in and finishing up too.
And what is the distance?
5K, so it's exactly 3.1 miles. So it's
If
official,
there
I
are people
guess.
still running at 10, at noontime after starting at 10, then you need to get them back in the club and get them.
Yeah, well, we have even people that walk with strollers too, so even for them, it'll take them maybe an hour and a half or so. So 2 hours is definitely a long time for walking too, so we'll see though.
Good luck.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. 254, Mr. Sagarino.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up, we have a representative from AMC Theater to request an increase in their operating hours for last couple weeks of December.
Hello, Kate Boucher over at the AMC Burlington. That wonderful time of year again when we are expecting a huge Star Wars release. hopefully the last one. Maybe in a galaxy far, far away, I don't know. So, yeah, the length of the movie is, again, just one of those it's 3 hours long. So to offer significantly preferable show times to our guests and the community, you know, even if we have a 10 o'clock show, it's getting out after 1. So just asking for some leeway for the winter break week. The movie comes out itself on the 19th. We'll be premiering it that night, which is a Thursday. And then Friday begins the holiday vacation week. So right up until New Year's Day, when everybody's not working and not in school, we'd like to be able to have the flexibility to add on some good show times for our guests.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go real quick because I like the idea of it, and we want to see the business succeed. I personally don't have a problem with this, but I'll let everyone else speak. But my big thing here is the alcohol isn't going to change whatsoever. Nothing on that is going to change. You're still going to do the same thing we talked about before. You're still putting together that package for us, so they're going to come back with us a couple months from now. So for me personally, I think this will be great for you guys and for the town, for anybody that wants to go see the movie. So after I get all that out, you guys can, we'll start with Mr. Priest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, yeah, this is, as long as, you know, alcohol is done by 10, like it always is, I think that it's great that you can offer a couple more show times and, you know, maximize people's time off to get out and see a movie.
Thank you. Bob?
No, I've supported these all along, these extra shows. One question I ask only because I didn't ask it before, and I apologize. Do you have a police detail for the extended hours?
We have police detail every Friday and Saturday, and we pay them till 2. So being able to have that flexibility to really utilize their presence is fantastic. You know, the way that our contract has been set up, we don't have them, you know, Sunday through Thursday. You know, so, I mean, we already have them just on Friday and Saturday nights when the volume is the highest in this point.
Michael?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. No, I'm fine with this. I know we've done this in the past a number of times.
Jimmy?
No issues that I'm aware of.
Great, thank you, Michael.
Mr. Chairman, do people still dress up for these types of things?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that being said.
No, we're not trusting us.
No. Never mind, Chewbacca.
Guy with a hot cold, me,
Yeah,
Chewbacca.
With that in mind, do you put restrictions on what they can carry in as far as?
Yeah, AMC has a blanket policy where your face can't be obstructed and there's no mock weapons of any kind that are allowed.
Okay. That was just my only concern, but I'm
And
not.
if you want to sit in a stormtrooper outfit in those recliners, I don't know how you're
I'd
going
have
to
to
get in or
borrow
out.
Joe's. Probably won't fit me, though.
That's all right, I want my tights back. Listen, I do have one more thing, and I was gonna bring it up on Citizens Time. I believe you had an incident the other night where you had a power outage up there? Was it,
So
was it-
we had the fire alarm go off on
yes,
Saturday.
okay.
Yeah.
There was no names given, but I read something on Facebook that somebody put up there about a gentleman, one of your employees, I don't know his name. If you know his name, you can use it in a second. This gentleman, there was some elderly people standing outside, and they had to be outside for a while, and I just want to say thank you to that gentleman. I don't know his name, because it wasn't in the text form that I read, that he went and got a chair from inside, a long bench, so that these elderly people could go sit out there, and they were very well taken care of. It was cold, it was, the alarm went off, they had to be outside, there's nothing they could do about it, and the guy brought a chair out to let these, did one bench, two benches?
It was one bench, and so multiple folks were able to utilize it. I know one of the guests had, I believe I heard that he had recently had heart surgery or something like that, and just couldn't, you know, stand for a length of time. So yeah, my team.
Okay. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for hiring people that have that capability of thinking ahead of it and bringing in whatever it may be to help out a resident or a non-resident, could be from anywhere, that helped an elderly person out. So that's my chairman's report. We're done. But no, I just want to say thank you while you were here tonight. Okay, gentlemen, we need a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We approve AMC Theater's extended opening from December 19th through December 31st.
First, Motion, second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, when you're done, I can.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0-0, Betty.
Kate, do you want to just let the members of the public at home know what the extended hours will be in case there's
Yeah,
anybody?
Still work all that out, but so we do have a theater rental. We have a company that comes in every time there's a big feature, and they buy out the entire building for opening night. So this is allowing us to be able to offer, 10:30, 11 o'clock starts, and really be able to bring in the public. And then for the holiday week, we're looking at 10:30, 11 o'clock show times, so trying to accommodate what people's schedules are like too, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if you'd like to mention, or not, I don't know if you want to mention that kid's name or not, or that's up to you. That's.
Yeah, no, I'm proud to, actually. We actually have a set of twins, and you'll notice them because they like to keep themselves different by dyeing their hair crazy colors. And it was one of the two twins, and I believe it was Brian White, and his twin is Connor White, and the two just work in tandem super with our guests.
And what town are they from? Are they
They're both from Billerica.
both from Billerica? Well, thanks to having them come down here and work for you, and that was a pretty nice story to read. You don't see enough of those. So, all right. Well, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's see, 255, 640, we're doing well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have Conservation Administrator John Keeley here with a request for approval of a conservation restriction that the town received in conjunction with the housing development that was approved up on Corporate Drive. John?
Thank you,
So I
John.
was here a few weeks ago with another conservation restriction, and I explained the whole process. That one was on Stony Brook Road, and I'll probably be up here again fairly soon with another one that Murray Hills is working on. The conservation restriction is basically preserving a piece of property in perpetuity for preservation. This particular one is the area between the new apartment building and Corporate Drive. So as you come in, come down Corporate Drive, it's all on your right before you take the turn and you start hitting all the office buildings. So it's almost all wetlands. There's a vernal pool in there. It's a very nice area, and the Davis Company's agreed as part of their development to preserve that area in perpetuity.
Great. Gentlemen, we'll start with Michael.
No issues.
Mr. Priest?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm good.
I don't have any issues, John, but could you, for the people that are watching, in the, what I always call the Reader's Digest version, just give a very brief explanation as to what it is we're talking about, so they understand.
Okay. So the conservation restriction or the area?
The restriction itself.
So the conservation restriction, it's a formal process set up by the state. It goes to the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. They actually have to review the actual document, and they actually create the model for it. So you have to use their model. So in this case, Reamer and Bronstein worked with them to come up with a final document. And it lays out the rules for the land. But basically, it's to protect it. I mean, there's very few the uses allowed in this particular conservation restriction. Some conservation restrictions include public access. There could be trails and whatnot. But in this case, the land itself is really almost all wetlands. So it won't be land that will be accessed. Unlike some conservation restrictions we have are actually, lands that people may go hiking or walking on, but this is not one of those. It's we've got a vernal pool. So a vernal pool is an area that is important breeding habitat for certain animals, especially amphibians, frogs and salamanders. And it's a big pool. If you were to drive up on 10 Corporate Drive and look off to your left, it's a good-sized pond. Parts of the year there's ducks swimming in there, and it's a nice area.
But Davis maintains ownership of that property, so it doesn't give it to the town.
It's still the same parcel, it's still theirs, but they cannot do anything, in the future as far as development or anything in there.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Mr. Sagarino?
The only question I would have for John is who needs to sign this? Is the entire board signing this, signing off on this
Yes,
evening?
you have a signature sheet there, yes. So as part of the process, the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs requires that the Board of Selectmen and the Conservation Commission sign it before it's submitted to them for their final approval.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, one other quick question. Has our legal counsel looked at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions, gentlemen? Nothing. We need a vote on this, right? Is this a public hearing?
No.
Nope.
No. Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the conservation restriction at 20 Corporate Drive.
Motion made by Bob, second by
Second.
Nick. All those in favor? Aye. 500, Betty.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. 256.
We have two documents coming around for you to sign, one related to the tax rate vote and one related to the conservation restriction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we're signing those, you want to go right to 256 as we're doing that?
We have no updates under that agenda item. No additional articles have been received yet.
Okay. Betty, would you like us to approve both meetings at the same time, or?
Please, unless you have any,
No, does anybody have any objections to the minutes? Did everyone get a chance to read them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the October...
Did you guys feel the threat when you got the email to read the minutes?
I didn't think it was a threat, I thought it was a demand.
I felt the urgency, that's what.
Yes.
Listen, I didn't...
There was also a copy in my mailbox, too.
Just do what Betty said.
you're not busy, it's,
How come that was in capitals?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we approve both the October 28th, which was a joint session and a regular session with the planning board, and the November 4th regular session minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded for the minutes. All those in favor?
All right.
500, Betty. Okay, next would be the subcommittee reports. Gentlemen, who would like to start? We're signing, so Mr. Priest.
All right. So nothing official from a subcommittee capacity, but what I will say is that today, several of us, Mr. Sagarino, Selectman Ryan, and myself, as well as Kristen Kasner, had the opportunity to attend the Life Sciences hearing, which is part of the State's Economic Development Committee. Representative Ken Gordon had let us know that it was taking place at our Northeastern Satellite Campus, and so we attended that this morning, and it was very interesting to hear from not only other life science companies in the area, but representatives from the Mass Life Science Center, Mass Bio, and several others came to give testimony as to the overall influx of what is happening in Massachusetts as a whole, not just, near Boston, near Kendall Square, but really the entire state, all the way out to Springfield and, up in Gloucester and down the Cape. And it was really incredible to hear, all of the efforts and funding that's going into making sure that, the state maintains its global presence as the epicenter of, life sciences, biotech, and all of that. Really, really wonderful. And there was strong emphasis on the one thing that, not the one thing, but one of the things that Massachusetts does well, and that is, we do business in smart people, I guess, right? So, some states, agriculture is big, some states manufacturing. Massachusetts, we have a lot of very smart people, so some of the best schools in the country, even the world, here in Massachusetts. And, how do we start to foster that interest in education at an even younger age, right? From K through 12 with STEM programs and, keeping kids engaged and then bring them up into college and, or through different kind of work study programs, and then into the workforce and at an entry level and working up from there, as well as cultivating businesses. The CEO of Northeastern was there today, and he mentioned that there were something like 13, I think it was, it's like small businesses like on the campus actually doing work, right? These small, life science companies on top of all the academia that's going on. So I thought it was very, very interesting just to kind of hear all of that. And I thought it was great that the Economic Development Committee chose to come to Burlington as opposed to just staying at the State House, but, we actually got to, have boots on the ground, so to speak. So just wanted to say that. And then secondly, on a personal note, and all you guys know, my wife and I welcomed our fourth child, our second daughter, Friday morning at 4:59 a.m. Margaret, her and her mother are home. Everyone is happy, healthy, and safe. And I couldn't be more proud. So I felt the need to
Take it off my chairman's report?
Was that your chairman's report?
It was on the town
I think every week someone's going to take something off that for you.
You guys look at this somehow before we get into this room.
So congratulations to Jen,
Yes,
Margaret,
absolutely.
yourself, and the rest of the family.
Thank you.
Why do you look so well rested?
I assure you I'm not. It's this caffeine.
Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know what, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our civilian, police, and fire dispatchers. They truly are the unsung heroes in terms of our first responders here. And the reason I bring it up tonight is a very good example. About 10 days ago during the Buffalo Wild Wings incident, the call came into the fire department dispatch center, and Elaine Carpenter was on duty. She's been there for 30 years. She does a wonderful job for us. But something just didn't ring true to her. The call was for a single person who needed an ambulance, and in a very short matter of time, she sort of deduced that it was much bigger than that. And our engine 2 and an ambulance were in another part of town. She started extra engine companies and ambulances from headquarters. She even reached out to the town of Lexington to start having ambulances sent to that location as well. As it turned out, there was an additional 12 people who, presented in the emergency room that evening. So that's just one example. These dispatchers, they provide a very valuable service, yet they really rarely get the attention. They're really the unsung heroes, like I said, of these two departments. I just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize all the men and women who do our dispatching for us. So that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to echo what Mike said, too. The dispatchers are the unsung heroes. They're the lifeline, the connection to someone in need. And our first responders did a fantastic job that night. I mean, you don't expect a mass casualty incident in the middle of during the week, and it happened. Everybody responded. Unfortunately, we did lose one person, but our first responders did what they did without giving it a second thought, and they went in and did their jobs and did it well. So just a thanks to them, but also with regards to the fire department, last week we had interviews. We had 3 extremely qualified candidates. We did the interviews, and that process, it's still in review, so we're going through that process right now. So that's it on my end. And also to wish all the residents a happy Thanksgiving, because we won't meet till after.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hogan?
Yeah, I would like to acknowledge the good work from the Veterans Office, not only on Veterans Day, but Halloween came upon us, and they collected a lot of candy from people around town who didn't want to keep it in the house because it can be very dangerous if it is left. But they collected 40 postal boxes of candy, and it was all being sent overseas. And Jennifer Goldsmith, who herself is a veteran, a Navy veteran, did all the work of labeling and weighing them and getting the locations where they're going and brought them over to the post office. So people and groups and organizations literally donated 40 boxes of candy to sent over to the troops. So to Chris Hannafin and Jennifer, congratulations to them for that. It's one of those little things you do that mean a lot to the people on the other end.
Yep, absolutely, thank you. As far as, I don't have anything left to say. Everyone takes my thunder every 2 weeks, so, what's that?
You can say happy Thanksgiving.
You already did that, but I'll do it again. No, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Nick, congratulations on your child. It's fantastic. We're all happy. I told you earlier today, it's very nice to see an old school name come out. You don't see the name Margaret that often. It's very old school, and it's kind of nice to see him starting to come back a little bit. As far as anything else goes, I got nothing. Mr. Sagarino?
Well, I go after you, so I typically have less than nothing. But the only thing I can add for the board, and I forwarded it along to you, and just so the residents at home know that Eversource is going to be doing some work on maintaining their right-of-way along the electric lines. It typically involves cutting down vegetation and trimming some trees and whatnot, and it typically generates phone calls to the board members. So just if any residents at home are watching this, that is Eversource trying to maintain the power lines there so that, this winter when we have some wind and some storms, that we don't lose power. So if you see anybody in there working, they're authorized to do that this week, so.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Old business, new business, gentlemen, anything? Nothing? Citizens' time? Nobody out there?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion made by second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go, 5-0, everybody.